I don't care what you think of me. Your opinion of me does not matter at all. Well, you got to know your heart pretty good to be able to say that.
Be careful what you speak. Ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, ex-friends, they are speaking negatively about you, but don't join in. Protect yourself. Cover your tracks. But be careful what you speak, because you are empowering negative behavior.
I believe that some of the worst pain that we experience in life comes from people falsely accusing us and judging us. When they don't know us, or they don't know anything about us, and they don't bother to find out, they just take a look and have an opinion. How many of you have ever been hurt deeply by someone who judged you and criticized you, and you just thought, you don't even know what you're talking about? Well, one of the best ways to keep those kind of things from happening to us is not to dish it out to other people.
Who are you to judge? God has a job to do. Let him judge. Who are you to judge? You are being judged for judging. We all have to speak upon negative things and negative people, but try your best to pray for your enemies. Try your best to speak positivity and hope and saying, you know what, I don't like what you're saying and I don't like what you're doing, but I'm going to continue to pray for you. I'm going to continue to hope and speak blessings and opportunities in your life, because maybe you're bored. That's why you continue to just sit around and do and speak negative things. They say there's power in the tongue. So if you have power in the tongue, if you continue to speak negative things about people that are doing negative things to you, you are empowering their negative behavior. You'll notice that that negative behavior won't go away. If you speak it, someone will be it.
So, who are we to judge? We shouldn't judge people. We should help them. And there's probably nothing more we can do to live a worthwhile life than to help people. To help other people. And in helping other people, I promise you will be rewarded and you will be helping yourself too. We see men tested beyond anything we can imagine. And still they overcome the pain and the suffering and the fear. And yet we can't get ourselves out of bed in the morning. We can't move toward a goal we've set for ourselves. Don't allow that. You remember what you are capable of if you mobilize your will. And if you keep moving forward, you keep advancing. Remember what you are capable of if you keep attacking. And don't stop. And don't stop attacking. And don't succumb to the suffering and the pain and the fear. Don't succumb, but instead move forward and attack.
Don't litigate over how much you have a right to have what I got, because until you suffered what I suffered, floated through what I floated through, survived what I survived, what you see on the outside is a reflection of the conflict on the inside. I could go home now, going through your life, saying, what do you see? Going through the trunk of your car, through your garage, through your house, what you see on the outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside.
We never have enough information to judge anyone. I want you to remember that. We know what we know, and there's a lot more that we don't know than that we know, usually about every individual. It's interesting to me that nobody ever judges me, or nobody ever judges you if they have what you have. People only judge us when they don't have what we have, and so therefore it's not even really what the word true judgment is all about. It's just jealousy. And they're not even mad because you have it, they're mad because they don't have it.
Remember, be a student, not a follower. And here's what you must always do. Design your own personal life. I'm very happy for people to take notes at my seminar, but I'm also just as happy if somebody says, hey, this is not for me, tear up all these notes and throw them away. That's just as valid for me. Remember, be no one's disciple. Chart your own course. Make what you do the product of your own conclusion. What I'm saying here is be your own person. You don't have to be a model of someone else. You don't have to do it like anybody else, right? Do it like yourself. Buy what you want to buy, listen to what you want to listen to, make changes if you want to make changes, and don't make changes, right? It's your life, I'm telling you. And don't let anybody persuade you any different. Success is not a stereotype.
But when you continue to speak negative things about people that have done negative things to you, you are also continuing the cycle of negativity. You are speaking negative things into their life. Therefore, you are inspiring the negativity to continue. If you speak positive things into people that have done wrong by you, especially if they're continuing to do negative things to you and on your behalf, you are therefore trying to speak a positive transition from them being a negative and horrible person. You are trying your best to speak positivity into their life so that they can now start becoming a better person and a more positive person. It goes back to the saying, pray for your enemies.
Most people in a fearful situation, they forget everything and run, but there are few that in a fearful situation, they face everything and rise with courage. And that's who you are. And when you're going outside of your comfort zone, it takes courage. Most people, the majority of people, die within their comfort zone. They're not risk takers. They go through life trying to play it safe. There's no safe position in life. There's no safe position in life. You can't get out of life alive. You got to die to leave here. And so this is a time.
Success is the continual unfolding of the design of your own life and pulling it off. That's what success is. The continual unfolding of the design of your own personal life and pulling it off. Whatever degree you wish, that is success. Successful in doing whatever you want to do that makes sense to you, for you, your family, your responsibilities, or take on responsibilities or refuse responsibilities. That's strictly all up to you. We've been given the power of choice. Every life form except human beings operates by instinct in the genetic code. It has no multiple choice. Only humans have multiple choice. In the winter, the goose flies south. Why? Because he's a goose. If you said to the goose, it'd be better to go west this year, he ignores that advice, keeps on flying south. Why? Has no alternative, has no other way. He is only driven. All life form is driven by instinct in the genetic code except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because here it is. We've been given the dignity of choice. We're not like a robot. We're not stuck like a tree, using up all the nourishment, nothing left, now you die because you can't change location. Not true. Humans can go north, south, east, west. Humans can change, do anything they want to do. We've been given the dignity. But here's what's interesting about all life form except humans. Every life form except humans strives to the max of its potential. How tall will a tree grow? As tall as it possibly can. You never heard of a tree growing half as high as it could. No. A tree grows as high as it can, drives down every root it can, produces every leaf it can, extends itself as far as it possibly can. Every life form extends to the max, except human beings. Now, why not human beings? Because we're not robots. We've been given the dignity of choice. And here's a couple of alternatives on the dignity of choice. To be part of or all of. you have the potential to be. And you got the choice. Do a little to make yourself comfortable and forget the rest, or do it all. And there's nobody here to dictate you got to do it all. That's nonsense. You got to be rich because we live in a rich country. That's nonsense. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to do it all. You can do a little, do some more. Take advice, but don't take orders. Take information, take training, take teaching, but don't take orders from no one that tells you how you need to live and what you need to own and what you need to do. Somebody says, well, you need to be successful. That's a personal choice, being successful. What we teach is the possibilities, and everybody chooses. Take a little, take a lot, do some, do nothing. Ignore the subject. You've got to learn to do that. Abraham Lincoln said, since I would be no one's slave, I will be no one's master. Excellent philosophy. If a guy says, hey, I'm soon cashing it in, I'm heading for the mountains, I'm going to live in a little cabin, live off the land, and feed the squirrels. If he goes and does that, guess what? He's a smashing success. Why? He's doing what he designed to do and went and did it. He pulled it off. You can't say, no, that's not successful. That is the epitome of success. It's giving a design to your life and go pull it off. Making progress in that direction that satisfies you. If it doesn't satisfy you, make alternatives and you change. And if you get some better ideas, sure, you may follow someone's suggestion and ideas, but not orders. Design your own life like you want it that will fit. Now, if you take on some responsibilities, now you got to consider those. Yes, you can ignore your responsibilities, but you won't feel good about that. Guess what the old prophet said? Some things that taste good now in the mouth turns bitter later in the belly. So you don't want to sacrifice. We all must suffer one of two pains. Regardless of your choice of lifestyle and what you want to do, we must all suffer one of two pains. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Be very careful who you judge at their low moment. You might be judging somebody right now for the battle that you're about to fight next month. Be very careful how you judge people. Be very careful how you say, oh, well, I just don't understand people who are depressed. After all, there's so much to be grateful about, and rejoice in the Lord always. And yeah, it's cool that you've got a Pinterest kind of faith right now, but something might happen in your life that knocks you off balance to the point that your stable self becomes a little bit wobbly for a little while. And you're going to want to make sure that you haven't judged people for things that you don't currently struggle with, because it might happen in your house. Amen.
It creates conflict because it does not crown when you have been placed in the position, it crowns before. You're rich before you got the money. You're educated before you got the degree. You're a preacher before they ordain you. You're a husband before you find the woman. If you're not that before, you won't be after. So you have to go through a period of displacement where you have vision to function on a level and don't have opportunity, which creates frustration.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Because you say, I feel this with everything I got inside of me, but nothing outside has acknowledged me on the level that I think on, and you don't feel appreciated because your thoughts are up here and your situation. Woo! Do you hear what I'm saying to you?
And what we suggest to everybody is to consider the disciplines, because disciplines weigh ounces, regrets weigh tons. You don't want to substitute a discipline for a regret. In our opinion, that would be a poor choice. Now, you can do it, but some things are poor trade-offs. The old prophet said, what if you gained the whole world, but it cost you your soul? Would that be worth it? With a bit of intelligence, we say, no, that doesn't seem worth it. Even if you got the whole world, if you traded your soul, that experience would be so bitter and so awful and so devastating, it wouldn't be worth it. What if you got some gain by greed instead of legitimate ambition? I'm telling you, it might taste good up front, but it's going to turn bitter in the belly. And a bit of that advice saves some people from devastation. Say, well, you're right. I better think twice about that. So we must confront all laws, spiritual laws, agricultural laws, basic laws, fundamental laws. We must confront all of those. But you still now can design your own life. A little, a lot, go east, north, south. Don't put yourself in the straitjacket of something that's not to your choosing and not to your liking. Now, if you really want the prize, to become a multi-millionaire and run a company, fine. Then you got to pay the price. But hey, it's strictly up to you. There's no requirements here. Where is it written? There is no law. The key is to try to design your life. Yes, you might try something and say, hey, this cost me too much. I'm away from my family, I'm gone. So, this is valid. Little girl said to her mommy, said, Daddy never plays with me. He comes home and he's got this briefcase and he disappears and works on his papers and tells me to go to bed. And she tried to explain, said, look, your father loves you very much, but he's so busy at work. He can't get everything done. He has to bring it home. She said, why don't they just put him in a slower group? If you haven't got time for your kids, you should consider a slower group. It's not the money. It's not the success. You got to make sure everything works. Not something at the expense of everything. And this something at the expense of everything turns out to be too costly. Life in its best and most fulfilled, I think, is a balancing act to make everything work. A mother's got the challenge, a father's got the challenge. And all of this in balance, it's, even the tug of war and trying to make it work as husband and wife with, little different concepts. Guy's a baseball player and gets $4 or $5 million a year, and his talent takes him 185 games, whatever the games are that they play. That's a pretty tough one to do, gone most of the time. Should he go where his talent leads, or should he work at the bank from 9 to 5? It's a challenge to try to fit, compromise, make it work, make all systems work so you don't sacrifice everything for something. And it's all a dilemma. She says, go conquer the world and be home by 5 o'clock. And he says, well, that's a real challenge, right? But if you've got partners now, it's this combination of working it out. But let me tell you what, it can be worked out. Here's what happens if you ignore it. It just gets worse. You just got to confront and say, let us work it out so that we bless our life with all of the systems that furnish us with a good life. And guess what? It never ends, this trying to balance your life with everything. Getting in charge, mastering the situation, this is the big challenge. I remember some companies I started years ago. I'd start the company, I'm running the company. First thing you know, the company's running me. And along about that second year, I say, hold it. I used to be in charge. And now I'm out of control. I used to have it on the run. Now it's got me on the run. And the same is true whether it's a company or an enterprise or whether it's the day. The key is you just got to take charge and say, I'm going to start getting a handle and taking charge of my day and not let it get out of control. Because it's so easy to be persuaded and distracted by, things that use up time, take up time, and then first thing you know, it's all out of control. Here's the key we've all learned, maybe we just need to be reminded. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours that count. Guy comes home at night, exhausted, falls into the chair and says, I've been going. Here's the key, doing what? Here's what we learned, don't mistake movement for achievement. Busy, that may not be the deal. It is the doing what that's the deal. Some people are busy all day long doing figure eights. They're not making much forward progress. Keep coming back around where they started. Learn to set goals so that you have some priorities. Priorities, constant review. Make sure it's what you really want. Let it change, do whatever it wants to change. Learn to separate majors and minors. Here's something that requires minor time, here's something that requires major time. Is this all helpful? Wow, I'm excited about sharing. Seeing if it'll create some value for you.
Instead of finding fault in others, we should all work to be the best people we can be and identify our own strengths and weaknesses. In other words, before we judge someone from our own viewpoint, we should take the time to take a very close look at ourselves, because none of us are perfect.
If you make it to the end of this video, just write on my timeline. From this point on, I will be careful of what I speak. Then I'll know you made it to the end of this video. And I want you to share this video. Why would you watch this video Be inspired by this video and decide to keep it to yourself. From this point on, I will be careful of the negative things I speak. I love you.
Credit goes to our awesome patrons who make videos like this one possible. Consider joining them to support our work. You can also support us by subscribing to our channel and clicking the bell button to get notified when our new videos are released. And as always, thank you for watching.
Do not curse the only thing you have. Don't complain about the only thing you have, which is seed and soil, sunshine, rain, miracle, and season. But start changing and processing and evaluating things like we're covering today, and this process of change will take off for you. You will not believe what can happen in such a short period. Next subject, personal development. Some of the things Mr. Shoaff taught me starting at age 25, some things came quickly, some things came easily. Setting goals, that was easy. We're going to talk about that later on. But this one I had to struggle with, personal development. It was hard for me to give up my old blame list. It was so comfortable blaming the government and blaming my negative relatives and the company policy, unions, wage scale, economy, interest rates, prices and circumstances and all that. That was difficult for me to give up. That was quite a transition for me to make and blaming myself. But Mr. Shoaff started out with something very, very important. Let me give that to you. He said, it's not what happened that determines the major part of your future. It's not what happens. What happens, happens to us all. He said, the key is what you do about it. It's not what happens, it's what you do about it. And he said, if you will start that process of change, do something different the next 90 days than you did the last 90 days, like picking up the books to read. Do something different like the new health discipline, relationship with your family, whatever it is, doesn't matter how small it is. If you'll start doing different things with the same circumstances, since we cannot change the circumstance, but we can change ourselves. We can change what we do. And then he gave me another secret to success when he said, what you have at the moment, Mr. Rohn, you've attracted by the person you've become. What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you've become. Few little simple principles here. Once you understand these, it starts to explain so much. Now, sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace, taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else. That transition sometimes is a challenging mission. And this one was a little tough for me. He said, Mr. Rohn, you've got pennies in your pocket, you've got nothing in the bank, the creditors are calling, you're behind on your promises. And he says, here's how that occurs. You've attracted, up until now, you've attracted the things to you because of the person you've become. Now I said, well, how can I change all that? He said, very simple. If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. And then he said, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. And he said, it'll all change for you. So let's talk a little bit about personal development. That extraordinary adventure I undertook starting at age 25. And I've never ceased that adventure. I'm still going for it. In the 90s, I want to get better and better. I want my craft to get better, my business operations to get better, the things I do to get better. Because once I picked up this simple formula, I'm telling you, it's easy to figure out where the problem is if you go to work on it. Now, let's talk about personal development. And in helping kids understand personal development, I always start with money. Now, money's not the only place to start. Money certainly isn't the only value, but we've all got to start somewhere, and money's something you can count. Right? Kids are interested in money. Okay. A lot of things are a little tougher to measure, but economics is pretty easy, right? Because you can count. Okay. Somebody says, how are you doing? You say, I don't know. Let's count. Now, this is not the only count. I understand that. There's a lot of other things to count. But to see if there may be some errors in your judgment and lack of disciplines in your life, we might as well start with money. Because it's so easy to count. So let's just start there and see whether or not maybe we have messed up. Okay. So here's how I explain it to kids. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. Key to understanding economics. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. Marketplace is also described as reality. Reality, the marketplace. Now, it takes time. It takes time to bring value to the marketplace, but we don't get paid for time. It's very important for kids to understand, as well as adults. We don't get paid for time. Mistakenly, the man says, well, I'm making about $20 for an hour. Not true. Not true. If that was true, you could just stay home, have them send your money. No, it's not true. You don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you put in the time. So we don't get paid for time, we get paid for value. Now, since that's true, here's one of the key questions of the afternoon. Is it possible to become twice as valuable and make twice as much money in the same time? Is it possible to become 3 times as valuable as you now are and make 3 times as much money in the same time? Is that possible? Of course. If you want to really emphasize something, that's a good phrase. Of course. Of course. Now, all you have to do to earn more money in the same time is simply become more valuable. America's unique. It's a ladder to climb. Starts down here, what, about $4 an hour? Big argument last year in Congress about the starting place. Should be 5, should be 5, should be 5. Well, no, it doesn't need to be 5. Why not start with 4? It's a ladder. Right. This is not a bed. This is a ladder. This is a ladder to climb. Starts at $4. Now somebody said, well, should be 5, should be 5. Well, maybe. If you're going to stay at the bottom for the rest of your life, it probably should be 5. But that's kind of a pitiful way to live. Start and not grow. Start and not change. Start and not become more valuable. Hey, the whole scenario of life is to start, number 1, and what? Become more valuable, number 2. So America's a ladder to climb. Starts at $4 an hour, and the more valuable you become, you just keep moving up the ladder. Top income last year, what? 52 million? Guy that runs Disney? Would a company pay somebody for 1 year's work $52 million? And the answer is, of course. This is one of those of course places. Of course. If you help a company make $1 billion, would they pay you $52 million? The answer is, of course. It's chicken feed. I mean, it's not much money. Now, why that much money? Because he has become so valuable. Now, why would we pay somebody only $4 an hour? They're not very valuable to the marketplace. Now, we got to make that distinction, to the marketplace. Might be a valuable brother, a valuable member of the community, valuable member of the church, valuable member in the sight of God, to the human family, of course, those kind of values. But to the marketplace, which is called what? Reality. Reality is, if you're not very valuable, you don't get much money. Those are called the fact. I mean, that's how that is. Well, then how do you get more money? Simple answer. Somebody says, well, I'll go on strike for more. Well, here's a major problem with that. Here's a major problem with that. You can't get rich by demand.
See, once and for all, it's really interesting. Once and for all, you could find out what you're capable of. Once and for all, you could find out if you're capable of becoming this man or woman you always dreamed about. Once and for all, you could do this here. I hope right now you're kind of getting those feelings I described the other night, those butterflies, that hope, that fear, like, can I do it? Like that football Friday night feeling before a game, that anticipation. See, what you should feel right now is alive. I hope what WFG makes you feel is alive. See, because life's not worth living without some anticipation, the looking forward to the future, wondering whether you can do it. If WFG gives us anything in our lives, it's not only just hope, it's not only just opportunity, but it's anticipation of what the future could look like, or what our lives could look like, where our families could be someday. And we got some decisions to make this hour, and I want them to help you, help me make them. If you could ever go through this life without ever knowing what you were capable of, if you could walk through this time on earth, never going to the places you're supposed to go, never becoming the person you're supposed to be, never helping the people you were supposed to help, never taking your children around the world and seeing the places you're supposed to see. If you could never go through life without wondering and knowing that, you're in the right place with us. We are the greatest business opportunity in the world today. Amen? Is that right? See, in your life, you're going to get what you tolerate. Stop tolerating for these people who have believed in you all your life, an inferior life for you. Stop allowing God to bless you and give you all this giftedness and opportunity and settle and tolerate less. For those babies that are sitting here with you, your children and grandchildren, stop being willing to tolerate less for them. Don't tolerate it anymore. Yeah, you got to give it your best, but it starts making a decision that this is over. I don't tolerate this life anymore. Pretty good's not good enough for my family. Pretty good's not good enough for my grandmother. Pretty good's not good enough for my grandpa, my parents, my future children. Pretty good ain't going to get it done for this family. Now I hope you hear them whispering to you, he's right. You can do this. You're great. You're special. You were born for a reason. I hope you can feel that. Life's going to give you ultimately what you'll fight for.
I'm supposed to talk, and I want to reiterate, though, I'm just a motivational speaker. That's what I am. You know, Bishop has inspired me, and it's really helped me understand my walk. You know, I'm nothing no more than you. You know, my job has been exceptional, though. I've been very blessed in that I've lived a life. God has enabled me to pursue my passion and tied it to my gift. I'm gifted at comedy, and I've been able to pursue it. So I wake up every day, and for a living, I play music and tell jokes. How big of a blessing is that? But you know, people, they look at that, but see, you lose sight of the fact that I'm 54, though. And you don't know the fact that I've been doing this 27 years in order to get to the point where I can wake up and play music and tell jokes for a living. It's like my guest, Tim Gannon, who explained the fact that he wanted to play polo. He didn't buy a pony till he was 40. He saw the first race at 16, the first match at 16. He didn't get that till he was 40. But so people look at him as the owner of the Outback Steakhouse, and they go, wow, but they have no idea the journey and the stress. And what I want to talk to you about is stress. What stress is, what it really is. How it's necessary if you're planning on getting to where you're trying to go to. See, stress is God's way of training you. It's preparation. But what most people do is, see, once you get stressed, you don't want that no more. So now you give up. You through. I'm stressed, so I don't want it. Nobody likes stress. You know, I work with a trainer. I have to work out. You know, 54, I'm supposed to, really, I ain't nothing fly, nothing like that. Really, I am, but, you know, I'm not, you know, you've been to your reunion. And you didn't know who was talking to you because you was going, whoa. And then you're going to look in the mirror and go, okay, I need to check myself. Do I look that bad? Because some people just let themselves go. But you got to, in order to develop and to change and to grow, stress is necessary. So you got to be willing to go get it every day. There's a story my father told me all the time. Now, I've heard it several different ways, but I'm just telling you the way my daddy gave it to me. He said, son, he said, every morning on the plains of the eastern Serengeti Desert, there arises a gazelle that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest lion, or he will be eaten and he will die that day. On that same desert arises in the morning a lion that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest gazelle, or he will starve and he will die that day. He say, son, the moral of the story is, no matter who you is, when you wake up in the morning, you needs to be running. No matter, and he said, no matter who you is. This proper grammar is who you are, but my daddy didn't do that, and I was comfortable with it. And so what he taught me was a work ethic of how to work. In order to get to where you want to go, you got to put yourself under some stress, though. See, stress is necessary. God is a trainer. This is what I done learned about it. And all I can tell you is, you know, how I got to be who I am. That's all I can share with you. I got no other stories for you. He got me to this point because from so far from what I done gathered in the process I'm in, he wants me to share my story with those that's still trying to get there. And at 40, you can still buy the pony.
I was saying, drink, Rock, drink. Drink, Rock. Gotta go and get him some more if he'd asked me to. Then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager. And I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I said to myself, he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra, said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn up the radio. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and segue the records, but don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get old Rock out of the way. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. I was hungry. Get old man a round of applause. I was hungry. I was hungry. You gotta be hungry. Shake someone's hand on your right and left all around you and say, you gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry.
To get those dreams out of your head and step into your greatness, you got to be hungry. To get those ideas, that talent, that gift out of your system, you got to be hungry. To get up off the canvas of life and understand what Willie Jolly meant, that a setback is a setup for a comeback, you got to be hungry. People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. How many of you got value out of what you've heard thus far? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I'd like to leave this with you. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what you want to do. Here's what I know about you. You have greatness within you. Here's what I know about you. I can help you to live full and to die empty. I can show you what I've learned. If anybody told me that I would be doing what I'm doing now, I leave here today, I go to New Orleans and speak there, then I'll be flown to Barcelona. If anybody told me, given my circumstances, born in an abandoned building on a poor section of Miami, Florida, called Liberty City, if both my birth parents stood up and said, hello, son, I would not know either one. Being labeled educable mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failed again when I was in the 8th grade, no college training. Anybody told me the principles that I would teach you, that they would have the impact that it has had on my life. This Les Brown that you see, I did not know he existed. And I tell you that you have greatness within you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. Come into the room with me, and I guarantee you your life will never be the same again. I like to leave this with you. I don't know what your goals are. Mine is to find a cure to autism. Mine is to find a cure to breast cancer and to prostate cancer. Mine is to work with our youth and to reduce the recidivism rate in our prisons and help young people learn how to become an asset to our society rather than a liability. Mine is to train speakers to become great communicators, to speak from their heart, not their heads, and teach them how to impact and create a new conversation so people can see the possibilities of life and overcome the possibility blindness that held me hostage for 14 years. I don't know what your goals are, but here's what I know about you, and I don't know you. You've got greatness within you. And I like to leave this with you, something my mother used to love to hear me say. Leslie, yes ma'am, mama. Say that thing for me, boy, that makes me feel good. I dedicate this to you, to the greatness in you, and to the dream that you showed up on the planet to produce. And it's simply this. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it. If all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gulch, sickness or pain or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. God bless you. God bless your dream. God bless peak potentials.